read a long list of editorial members. We should not forget that journalism has been described as a restless profession because it is a profession that changes with time. Novelty, surprise, there are a number of factors which affect the quality of the journal. First of all, we appeal to believe that our journal under Indian subcontinent are good. We would plan to hold a conference of officials of all journals to draw a common approach so that a standard common would come before all of us, and it is not so easily criticized abroad that the Indian journals are notorious, as I heard in the United Kingdom. We have now introduced inclusion of a summary with the short communications. Now let us talk briefly about the recent trends and changes taking place in science. It has become a thinking of high society that, like immunology, the two specific forms of immunity are humoral and cellular. Similarly, in all science, now there are two arms, conventional and biotechnology, which is variously referred by many workers in many terminology and interpreted in various manners. If we want to know incidence of tuberculosis in a wild rabbit, we have to depend on our conventional research. The answer will come from the diagnostic work. We can say that both conventional and present biotechnology bloom are interrelated. On one hand, we look forward for recombinant vaccines. On the other hand, we are still finding reports on the very preliminary autogenous vaccination, which has been found still effective, as we have read some reports of autogenous vaccination against Jaundice septicemia. There are many other interesting issues, like biological product sections have stopped manufacturing vaccine against fowl cholera. It is not yet certain whether the strain affecting chickens have completely lost or chickens have become completely immune. We do not know exact position from other states in this respect. Similarly, the laboratory animals, we would like to appeal from this platform is being neglected, and it is an area which demands your very concentrated attention. Like salmonella, salmonellosis is a great problem. We do not find any model whose findings could be helpful to the human or animal, and the result is that we are not having any vaccines. Participants have registered this first symposium of the association, and we are happy to know that delegates from our neighbor country like Nepal have come to attend the symposium. We hope discussions among multidisciplinary delegates will bring forth some strong recommendations and ideas which would obviously be helpful to our association activities. Thank you very much.
As our patron has already told that our association is of younger generation and urban, so our secretary is also giving a address. This national symposium has given a theme.
His Excellency Professor A. Chaudhary, Chief Guest of the Symposium, as a Chairman of Agriculture Scientist Recruitment Board. Professor M.P. Singh, President, Indian Association for Advancement of Veterinary Research. Dr. T.M. Jaiswal, Organizing Secretary. I must congratulate the organizers for choosing an appropriate. A scientist has his own views on the state and health of science in general, and veterinary science and animal husbandry in particular in the country. Associations like this are free of any inhibitions of governmental controls, and it is their job to guide the country's science, its health and state to a situation of improvement. As far as animal husbandry and dairying sector is concerned, I, by force of the circumstances, will have grants for running the association. Therefore, I have that constraint, and I do not know how to balance that constraint with my very nature of being a scientist and having some maybe practical and radical views in terms of health status in the country's science. But I'm really glad that I have here as a chief guest my very dear friend Professor Ayush Chaudhary, who has no constraint like this. And therefore, I leave it to him to give a critical appraisal of the science in general which I will institute. Coming back to the theme of the conference, I must admit that one of the things which we've been talking about all the time, whether it's an association, a government-organized seminar, talking sessions and so on, we generally talk about things and develop plans, but when it comes to the ground level, in designing the research staff. And recently we had two sectors, and the other was a study we had given to Institute of Economic Growth and Disease Control ought to recognize what it means in a scenario like ours. I would therefore like to bring this, highlight this point as a major problem for understanding and discussion during the course of this symposium. The other major factor which was brought out was that apart from nutrition, which has been talked about very religiously, that the Indian productivity is really not able to be commensurate with the assets we have. It is because we have shortfalls on cereal water situation in the country. We found that it was not a matter of shortages which was bothering people. Every nutritionist, every foreign man. But what about the amount of feed you have? Now that amount of feed which is today available in the country is large, and unfortunately we are not able to manage it in terms of the productivity levels which we encounter, even with that amount of feed. This is the other situation. And it was clearly brought out that disease situation, unfortunately, the entire gamut of disease management is not poor, it's non-existent. And therefore, find it on the ground level. The ground level lists a certain number of hospitals, a certain number of veterinarians, a certain level of budgeting. But if you go down to the grassroots level, the animal health cover is practically non-existent. And a number of things have been thought of in the country is practically non-existent. It just doesn't exist in the veterinary medicine field. Wherever it exists, and they did mention agricultural universities and ICR Research Institute scenario, because one ought to have a testing regime in the country which is acceptable by our peers in other countries for the purpose of trade. Essentially, having a quarantine and a diagnostic service in the country is required not only from the point of animal welfare, which is a very important part of the situation, but is also an important element in trade. Because if you want to trade in meat and milk, if you want to trade in meat and meat products, bone chips, etc., they have to be free from bacteria, viruses, and size. That a certain consignment is free of a certain disease or a certain virus. The acquisition has to be globally competitive. One example which has been brought up is that in a country where animal health research is about 100 years old, even for a disease like rheumatoid in India, which could either develop this test procedure or research on it. They're coming to the kind of scenario which are existing, which is the purpose of the theme of the recent advances. I would like to mention that in the area of diagnostics itself today, the kind of testing procedures which are, I don't know whether they are available, but which people have access to, are totally irrelevant. And today, the entire diagnostic scenario is based on monoclonals, gene probes, either hot and cold, or PCR diagnostic products. Today, it is possible that with the use of monoclones to identify the kind of virus type in about 4 hours time, and where subtyping can be done within a matter of 24 hours. Now, virus in about 29 days, well, obviously, is not a competitive technology in this country. And therefore, one have to look very seriously at the infrastructure, both on research as well as in development in this particular area. The second point somebody mentioned was about recombinant vaccines. I would like to not go as far as recombinant vaccines, but one ought to go somewhere along the line to see the kind of global scenario on vaccinology which is available, and how the current status of vaccines is a very critical one. But what I would emphasize, apart from the research direction one would like to take in terms of diagnostics and vaccinology, one would like to see what are the delivery systems, for instance, could exist in the country. Australians have done it, the USDA has done it, and I see no reason why we could not put this kind of thing in place. The other point I would like to highlight in terms of the modern advances where we do talk about, and we have nothing to show for the talk, is in the area of embryo transfer. I mean, why I have chosen embryo transfer? The reason is that I think embryo transfer is not a relevant technology for developed countries. The reason being that the 95% of production levels which have increased today for a small country like Israel, as much as 11,000 kilograms for 305 days is the average country's milk yield. And the better developed farms in Israel have 17,000 liters for 305 days. Now obviously these kind of production levels would look out of the world when you talk to an average Indian veterinarian who is dealing in the field about 1,200 liters. But then the fact of the matter is that the technologies are available. Israelis have almost doubled their production as against the United States. Now for them, artificial insemination, particularly using frozen semen technology, has done all that what is required, and I don't think embryo transfer can increase productivity levels far more than past 1%. But in a country like India, where an artificial insemination and performance recording system is not on the ground for sire proving, embryo transfer is very critical for as an adjunct to continuity. So I would like to request my colleagues in the production gynecology and others that they should integrate embryo transfer, should be a part of a training program of a master's level or even a special diploma could be my request to the director would be. The two things have to be done. One is that the cell wall has to be forced to release energy as an input to lifestyle. Because abundant energy in terms of cellulosis, hemicellulosis is available within the cell wall, but it is linked with lignin and therefore it's not available. So a technique has to be developed by lignocelluloses can be broken down and these celluloses can be used as an energy source. It has to be produced, it must be produced from an available resource. The other thing which is the matter of proteins. Once you take energy, you put proteins, and in this institute, considerable amount of work has been done in the past 15 to 20 years. We have spent about 35 crores in the ICAR on this protein attack, which we have not reached anywhere along the line. In fact, whatever it is today, we have had such an increase in oil seeds, and that has led to increase in oil seeds, so that we are self-sufficient in proteins. Unfortunately, many of these proteins in the oil seeds are not available to animals free because of toxins which are and other invasive agents. And these agents have to be removed from this cake so that you can really do this protein. That's the kind of research which is primarily to be done by organic chemists, fermentation technologists, and animal nutritionists by hand. And I believe it will have to be, again, a cutting-edge technology which has to be used in identifying the kind of antitoxins and then the growth factors in these, and these will be able to sort of give on to the. And if these two problems are solved, I think we will be on top of the world as far as animal production is concerned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, friends, this is the kind of thing I would like as a client from you. And that is what the government's entire perspective in research and development is going to be for the next 8 years, even if we have to close shop on the other fronts. These are some of the areas in which government is vitally interested to see that if it is not possible to indigenously develop the technologies, we might have to buy it. And there is hardly any time to wait. And that is why, as a client of yours, I come here to tell you what is it that we expect from this symposium and from the scientific community. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. As ever, thanks for the Murti of veterinary profession. Today, they say people sitting on the heap of the veterinary profession, all the three people are present here in this hall. You have issued two big guns, Dr. Balen, Dr. Bhatt. And now I request our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. A.L. Chaudhary, to deliver his inaugural address and inaugurate the scientific session. Dr. Chaudhary, sir.
Director of the Institute, Dr. Balen, and President of the morning session. As usual, I don't have too many portfolios, but today, 1 and 2, Dr. Bhatt, President of the Association, Dr. Sen, Vice President of the Association, Dr. Jaiswal, General Secretary, I have a very lively and energetic General Secretary, Dr. Verma, Dr. Swarup, senior scientists from the Institute, lovely delegates for the symposium. The director said some of the students are also here. So. And having been in each of the lab, dear students, very good time. At the onset, I must compliment the organizers of this symposium for having chosen a very pertinent, relevant and a timely topic, as well as the venue of this symposium. In the national saying, veterinary profession without IVI may always be incomplete. So they must be complimented that they could hold this symposium at IVI, which has been serving the profession for more than 100 years now. As usual, Dr. Bhatt put me into awkward situations. Nothing new points. But he has also helped me partially, in the sense that he himself has identified the weaknesses of our research system. Slightly deviating away from the points that I wanted to raise to you today in this symposium, to meet the desire of Dr. Bhatt, I would rather like to briefly review, historically maybe, briefly review the efforts that we have been able to make, and I would rather to divide those efforts into the pre-independence and the post-independence. And then I'd like to put forth some of the lessons that we have learned, as well as the knowledge that we have gained, and with this background, what do we need to do? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you are all knowledgeable persons. You know very well that veterinary research is more than 100 years old. And the opening of the idea in the Forest Laboratory was the first landmark in organizing veterinary research, made in the form of initially a diagnostic lab, but later on it became one of the rather premier institution or organization, whatever you want to call it, to serve the profession in providing not only the health protection and health care, but also giving qualified manpower. In view of the importance of the livestock even then, and with the subsequent and repeated, I would say, emphasis given by the then Imperial Council of Agricultural Research, efforts were made to think in terms of livestock development and some of the fragmentation of the quality. But some large-scale livestock farms were opened in the central sector. Massive human resource development program was taken up, and you know the growth of the veterinary colleges since 1950. Not only that, in the 70s or around 70s, on the background with the crop sciences, we also started multidisciplinary, location-specific, species or commodity-specific coordinated projects. Those institutions. And I think today, the DDG Animal Science may be doing much more than me, because for the last few years I am more a biologist than a scientist. Today I think we might be having an institution or a project for every species we can think of. In other words, over the years, in addition to learning more, now this led to what? Through this effort, we established, as I said, a very strong network for livestock health and animal production system. In this process, we were also able to develop some new breeds or strains of cattle, sheep. We were also able to characterize some of our indigenous breeds, and we could know more details about their production potentials, about their genetic architecture, about their performance, about their disease resistances, and so on. We, in this process, learned 5%, and in some highly receptive states like Punjab and Haryana, it may cross even 45%, depending upon the nature of the information that we want to deliver. I will not be too far away. Probably whatever useful technology we may have been able to develop in our institutions or universities is hardly 15%. Now this really is putting us into that seat. We did develop suitable technologies, especially production and technology, but they are not being put into action, and that's what was concerned for. And I think this concern is very genuine. After all, massive resources are going in. Massive involvement of highly qualified human resource of the country is being put into this effort. And if we are just satisfied by seeing our names in the national and international journals, and if that information is of no use to the animal owner, in the process of developing our network, certainly we have been able, if not eliminate